She walked on stage with a shy smile, and then, the moment she opened her mouth, the world stopped. That voice belonged to Aretha Franklin. It was 1967. The civil rights movement was roaring through the streets of America. People were tired, angry, and scared. But Aretha? She gave them hope. Her song, Respect, wasn't just a song, it was a demand. A cry. A battle cry. And it came from the soul of a woman who had already seen too much pain. She had sung in churches with her preacher father. She had known loss, heartbreak, and betrayal. But that day, with her voice echoing across radios and record players, she stood tall as the Queen of Soul. Aretha didn't just have a powerful voice. She had truth. And people felt it in every note. Her power made other women believe in their own. But Aretha wasn't the only one. Because, in London, another voice was rising, one that was soft, angelic, and full of sorrow. The angel with sad eyes. Karen Carpenter had a voice like velvet. When she sang Close to You with her brother Richard, it felt like a warm hug. But behind that soft voice was a quiet storm. Karen didn't want the spotlight. She didn't care about fame. All she wanted was to be heard, not by millions, but by the people who loved her. She smiled on stage, but off stage, Karen was hurting. She battled anorexia, a word barely anyone understood back then. Her body got weaker, even as her voice stayed perfect. She was gone at just 32. But her music? It never left. Karen's story is heartbreaking, but it also opened eyes. She made the world listen, not just to her songs, but to the pain women hide in silence. And as her music played softly in the background of millions of lives, another voice began to rise, one that would tear through the 80s like fire. The power of Whitney. When Whitney Houston sang, I Will Always Love You, it didn't feel like just a breakup song, it felt like a soul screaming through time. Whitney had the kind of voice that broke barriers. Gospel. Pop R&B. She ruled it all. People said her voice had a golden tone. But it wasn't just the sound, it was the emotion behind it. Her mother was a gospel singer. Her cousin was Dionne Warwick. Music ran through her veins like blood. But fame came with pressure. And pressure turned into addiction. Still, even in her darkest times, Whitney would stand before a crowd and make the world cry. She inspired a generation, Mariah Carey, Beyoncé, Alicia Keys. They all looked up to her. And yet, behind that golden smile, Whitney was tired. When she passed in 2012, fans around the world mourned, not just a voice, but a light. Whitney was proof that even angels can fall. But before her fall, another legend rose, and she had already changed the rules before Whitney ever stepped on stage. The woman who wasn't supposed to win. Tina Turner was told she wouldn't make it. She was a backup singer. A dancer. A woman standing behind a man. And that man, her husband Ike Turner, controlled her life with fear. But Tina wasn't born to stand in the background. When she finally left Ike, with nothing but her name and a dream, people thought she was done. Washed up. Forgotten. But at 44, she roared back. With What's Love Got to Do With It, she didn't just climb the charts, she took them over. She danced harder, sang louder, and proved age meant nothing. Her voice was rough, raw, and filled with pain, but that's why people loved it. Because it was real. Tina showed the world you could rise again, even from hell. Her comeback was one of the greatest in music history. But Tina's fire lit the path for another woman, one with big hair, a bigger voice, and dreams as wide as Texas. The country queen who broke every rule. Dolly Parton was born in a one-room cabin with no electricity. One of 12 kids. Dirt poor. But she always said, we may not have had money, but we were rich in love. From a young age, Dolly dreamed big. Bigger than the mountains of Tennessee that surrounded her. She wrote her first song at age 5. By 10, she was performing on local radio. And when she left for Nashville right after high school, people told her she was too blonde, too bubbly, too country. They said, she'll never make it. They were wrong. Dolly's voice was sweet as honey, but her lyrics? Sharp as a blade. She wasn't afraid to sing about being the other woman in Jolene, or about leaving a man behind in I Will Always Love You. That song later became Whitney Houston's biggest hit. But Dolly? She wrote it in a moment of heartbreak, walking away from the man who helped make her a star. She chose her freedom over fame. That's Dolly's secret. Under the rhinestones and wigs, she's always been a fighter. She didn't just sing about love, she lived it. She built hospitals, gave millions to education, and even helped fund a COVID vaccine. All while still making music. Dolly Parton proved you don't have to change who you are to change the world. And speaking of changing the world, another woman was rising across the Atlantic. One who would dominate music, movies, and fashion, on her own terms.